Hello YouTube, Lamani here again, and hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm talking into a freaking tin can this time. Not gonna lie, that was a little bit embarrassing, but we made a change and here we are. Regardless, I have a little bit of a confession to make, and I apologize, I did not intend to, but I feel that I lied to a lot of you in my last war video, and I'm hoping to make amends with more of you now getting to Endgame in New World. That last build from my last video, while it's good, it'll get the job done, that build is definitely not the best build, especially in this endgame setting. This new build that I've cooked up is certainly the way to go for endgame level 60 wars, and it can be modified with some of the same fundamental principles that I'm going to put out in a build guide later on. I promise you, it's huge, you're beefy, you got a big axe, it's incredible. I ran this new build in one of my recent wars that had more level 60s running around, and I can tell you one thing. People do damage. It's insane. So we're here to whip out that fat healing staff and make sure that nobody dies. We're going to be taking a look at this new build, but more specifically the attribute distribution. Things have changed, the stats have changed, I've learned more, I apologize, we'll talk about it. But specifically gearing and the stats with my gear, ways to optimize your food usage, this is huge. My healing settings, war strategy, and then specific items to buy in war, and even more war tips with my new massive level 60 brain. So let's just jump straight into things. Now, before you start freaking out and saying that this is a ripoff and that it's the same build as last time, hold on, please. Yes, it is very, very similar. I do change one talent point, but the main thing I want to do is talk about why and go over some of the key takeaways from the comment section of the last build to really point out the key features. For the sake of time and resources, if you want a real deep dive on the build guide, take a look at my last war video where I actually used a Nokia phone for audio recording. Either way, I talk through all of those mastery points super in depth, maybe a little bit too much, but whatever, it has all the info that you're going to need. Alright, so now here's the build in the talent calculator. You'll see everything laid out just as it was on screen before. A lot is still similar. We still go Absolve, Blissful Touch. We take the same abilities, Sacred Ground, into Orb of Protection, into Beacon. You'll see all my passives on the left healing side are the same. And yes, those of you who are hating on Enchanted Justice, I kept it there just for you. Now where you're going to see the real big change is over here, Protector Strength. If you have a buff, heal for 10% more. And I take that instead of Protector's Touch. Now, why do I do that? That's going to have to do with a lot of the attribute distribution that we were talking about before and how I've changed up my medium armor build to be a ton more tanky. Basically, the only change I would suggest is instead of taking Protector's Touch, go into Protector's Strength. It's just going to be better. 10% more healing is actually huge comparative to the 15% Fortify that you get from Protector's Touch, because of the way that you're set up now. Now, my first point I want to get into, somebody asked in the comments section, should I be aiming at people's feet or should I be shooting through people? That's on me. Definitely be trying to left click through people, because then each time you hit somebody, you're going to see a healing circle around their feet. So if you shoot a line in a war, you could have up to 10 healing circles all hitting the same people. It won't overlap heal, but you'll be able to heal more people with more surface area. That same concept now applies to Orb of Protection. If you shoot Orb of Protection through people, they will all get the buff. It's not just where they land. I get so used to the habit of aiming at people's feet to get ground AoE down, but for abilities like these, you can't do that. Sure, you can put an Orb of Protection down in a panic to make sure that you get it down. Try to shoot it out horizontally just to make sure that more people get it, but do whatever you need to do to get the heals to stay alive. I mean, that's the goal, right? Just stay alive. I emphasize that so much. Now, on the topic of Orb of Protection, there was a question as to why I didn't take all three of these points. Here's why. Sure, you can increase the radius and that might be more effective with more allies. But again, if you got decent aim, you'll get a bunch of people in there. This one, Share Protection, the only thing it's going to benefit is you. So yes, that could be cool. You would also get that Fortify and that Recovery. But I think when looking at the other points in the chart, when you're looking at something like Protector Strength, when you're looking at Bend Light, when you're looking at Glowing Focus, and the 2 points we put into Beacon, it's not worth. It's just not worth. Yeah, you can keep yourself alive a little bit, but that heal isn't that big that it's going to make or break that, when you can have other healing modifiers that are going to do so much more and give you so much more versatility. Regardless, Orb Protection's cooldown is super short, especially with all the cooldown stuff we have over here. You can just keep pumping those out and you're going to be completely fine. You can hit yourself with one. The cooldown's like 8 seconds and you can get it down to like 4 by just shooting people. And you can do it on yourself if you really want that. And now my favorite point of discourse is going to be Enchanted Justice. I will blatantly say this. Enchanted Justice, yes, it is garbage. It's a 2-minute cooldown for 10% of your weapon damage each second for 6 seconds that will scale with some things. And it's only a 4-meter radius. So it's you and nearby friends, mainly for you. And again, it's every 2 minutes. I don't typically get hit that much. So when it procs, it's pretty nice to heal me up. But why do we take Enchanted Justice, everyone? Well, the whole reason is that we need 10 points in healing and we need Divine Blessing. Divine Blessing's OP, healing 30% more if their health is below 50%. Yes, you want that. So you have 2 options when you go for all these passives. Well, we don't take Divine Embrace. We can't put any points there. We don't take Splash of Light, so we don't put any points there. Well, your one option now is Mending Touch. Life Staff Heavy Attack now removes 1 debuff when passing through an ally. I love Mending Touch in PvE. There's not many times where I have a debuff on me that I'm going to remove in a war setting. I'm not really getting lit on fire, and if I am, I can run out of it and heal myself up. I'm not really getting slowed. I'm not getting bled. I'm not up there. You might be able to toss them out to your teammates, but I think you get more value and more throughput by having something like Enchanted Justice, even though it is kind of a me. Okay, I acknowledge this. It is garbage. It needs to get reworked. But when compared in a war setting, emphasis on war, we need Enchanted Justice over Mending Touch. I'm sure you could find some utility if you want to run Mending Touch instead. I think of maybe a little bit of utility I could use it for, but I think for passive healing where you don't have to think, take Enchanted Justice. This is the build. Really, we're swapping Protector's Strength for Protector's Touch. Everything else is the same. Do what you want. This is a guide. This is here to help you figure out, okay, how should I set up for my war, give you some insight and my thoughts so that you can design your best build too. All right, so now onto the major changes. That's mainly going to be the attributes. I had a talk with a commenter on the last video, and at the time, I thought the focus pump was the route. And if you're not concerned about your survivability and you're a dedicated healer, be my guest, pump to the top, pump till your heart's content. But if you're like me, and you're getting in some really sweaty PvP, and your heart is pumping with thousands of damage being put out, you may want to consider changing your attributes. So here are my attributes. Right now I'm at 242 focus, 160 constitution, and this is mainly for wars. I was thinking about it, okay? It took some real hard meditating time to think about focus distribution. And so when thinking about it, the main thing to hit in focus is 200 focus. Getting that 20% duration on casted buffs is huge for our style of war build. And the even bigger point is hitting that 150 to make sure you get the 20% healing output so that you can go into medium armor. Anything past that isn't really that crazy. The 30 mana on any self or group kill does apply to PvP tags if you get the kill or your group, specifically your war group, gets that kill. And when your mana hits 0, this one's just a throw. This doesn't really do anything. When does your mana actually ever hit 0 without you hitting healing pot? No heal brings you down to 0. It doesn't make sense to me, and that also needs to get reworked. Regardless, once you hit that 200 point, that's when I would say you start putting points into Constitution. So for war, I'm going full focus con. My other build that I'm going to be coming out with soon, you run around with that big war axe. I pump 50 points into strength, and I'm running around like this. And that happens through re-gearing. But I run around with 200 focus, at least 100 con, and 50 strength, and you go to town. Speaking of that 100 con point, increase max health by 10% of your physical armor. And since we're in medium and have some heavy pieces, this is going to increase our health by a huge amount. We also end up getting minus 10% crit damage taken and 20% stronger healing potions, healing consumables actually in general. Regardless, I would kind of say that putting any points over 200-ish, I would say over 250 for sure, is starting to throw a little bit in the focus department. You get so much more tanky with using Constitution. All right, so let's get into the gear. I'll show you a quick look at all my gear. Here's my healing staff. I actually just replaced it recently. It's not that great, but 24 focus. We get the diamond in there. I need a better rally gem. I didn't even think about that. But you're also throwing the game if you're not running blessed. 25% healing bonus at this item level. It's just so much extra healing that nothing really compares to. I have an ice gauntlet on. Don't really use it except ice blocks like we talked about in the past. Focus con. It's just a stat stick at this point. Then I'm running heavy helmet, medium chest, heavy gloves, light pants, and heavy boots. You want to either focus on getting a heavy helmet and heavy chest, and then have medium gloves, medium boots, and light pants. Or you can do something like heavy helmet, heavy gloves, heavy boots, medium chest, light pants. It just depends on what you have. As you can see, I have a bunch of different armor on me. Like I have 2 pairs of pants, and 2 other chest pieces in my bag, 2 pairs of gloves. You just really want to find that give and take of, okay, how can I get the most armor, but still get the most stats out of everything? So it's okay to run around with a bunch of gear. I'm always like 150 pounds all the time, and I'm going to keep getting more, and I need to really, I need to upgrade my bad bags. So we'll talk about that later. But I'm poor because I keep respeccing and trying different things, and I'm trying to help all of you out. So if you want to donate to me, start giving me some golden game. That'd be great. My jewelry, I'm running this 370 neck from Amarine that I'm still using because, again, don't have the money, so I don't want to just blow on to a 500 jewelry. But it gives me 14 focus, and it gives me 6.4% max health. And that's actually huge for my health pool. I'm using this ring that I did pick up for pretty cheap with Focus Con, and I should switch the gem to an Onyx gem, just for all-around physical reduction. And then if you watched my other video, I'm using Ill-Gotten Gain, which is just OP as a tank or a healer. You get 20 con, you get a gem slot, your potion cooldown reduced by 25%, 0.43% health every second, and then when you drink a potion, 12% chance it doesn't consume. Those potion ones also apply to your war potions that you buy for free. So that's kind of nice. The cooldown's big. Not using it for 12% chance isn't huge, but it can help just for the sake of time. But the big things you really want to focus on are keeping a medium loadout, and however you can do that, putting your points into focus and constitution, whatever you want more. If you want to pump your heals a little bit more, focus on focus. If you want to stay alive, focus on constitution. The big points are that you get into 200 focus and at least 100 constitution. Looking at things too, look at my physical armor. I have 1,120. I have 1,035 elemental armor, and I have 10.5k health. So I am kind of like an immovable object. I'm sitting there, I can take a lot of damage. I have as much health as some tanks, and then I can heal. And then with all my healing modifiers, I can heal even more. And with better gearing, my gear is pretty garbage. I'm at about 499 with my actual open world set, 493 in my war gear. But this is a lot of health, it's a lot of healing, and having this style of build and these stat distributions, you will do great. When we're on the topic of stats, another great way to boost them is through food, more specifically buff food. There's all kinds of focus food and con food that you can use. I tend to use either the game meat skewers, or what I've been using more recently and for war, I use venison pot roasts. So when you were looking at my stats and I was at 242 focus, that venison pot roast will actually push me over the edge to 250 and I'll get that next bubble. Alternatively, the same thing applies to constitution. If you want to go into constitution foods or maybe a mix of the other, just to make sure that you get every single bubble, that is going to help you tons in the war setting. It'll finish off those bubbles that you can't achieve with either allotting those points or through gear. Also, as you get higher with cooking, you can make even better food, which will then just improve your performance even more. If you want to most efficiently use your food and get the highest healing return possible, what you can actually do is stack 3 food buffs. You can use one of the rations. I use a travel ration here just to test it out. So you start with a travel ration. You can then eat your attribute food, which will then give you your attribute and then also your heal over time. And then you can stack it on top of a trade skill food. That way you have 3 different foods all contributing to your health return from food buffs. I think something really important before we start talking war gameplay is to actually go into my healing settings. So you can see here, it's not actually that hard when I'm in a war. I just turn targeted healing off. But when I'm actually PvEing out in the world, doing other things, or if I'm with a group where it's only a 5-man, I'll turn targeted healing on. Some other important ones when you have targeted healing on are to turn off your freeform camera so that it doesn't just follow whoever you have active and whip your camera around in circles. And then you can see the rest of the things that I keep up. Alright, now let's delve into some war strategy, starting with what items you should be buying. Right away, I buy speed elixirs and mana potions. Those are the 2 things I'm spending the most money on. Speed elixirs will get you on the map as your team calls that they need help at certain points. And then I get the mana potions because I don't want to use my own and they're the best mana potion that you can actually use. So make sure you get those right off the start. Later into the war, I'll start to buy health potions as well so that I can do the same thing with those. And then if you have extra credits laying around, that's a great time to start getting the mines. You can place the mines throughout wooded areas, on points, everywhere around the map, and they do a ton of damage and keep the enemy away. But the biggest thing for healers is to make sure you get those mana potions and those haste elixirs that'll help you run around faster. Make sure you go and buy them from one of the stores inside of the base. But when you need more, you can go to either points A, B, or C and purchase whatever you need. Now, just like the last video, I want to give you my top 3 war strategy tips to make sure you're doing everything you can in the healer role to help your team win. The first one is discipline. You are not a superhero. You cannot take on the other team 1v50. You are the healer who needs to keep their team up. In this clip, my entire team is running to A for some combat because there's 40 people over there. And my group, the entire game, was dedicated to the space between B and C in the woods. At this point, a small 5-man team had come to take C, and my group has to pull back to make sure they don't get a free capture. Obviously, I would have loved to go fight with my whole team, but what I do is I launch a beacon over to one of my boys and pop a haste elixir to cover some ground. Although this is not the stat inflation move that I would have loved, it is the disciplined and smart one. At the end of the day, who cares whoever is at the top of the leaderboards? Be coordinated and stay disciplined. You generally do not have all the glory and eyes on you, and that's okay, but you are the most fundamental piece of any team. You are the glue that keeps everyone alive and lets other people be at the top of the leaderboards and lets everybody else win. So stay disciplined and listen to your shot callers. Do what your leaders are telling you to do, even when you don't want to. By doing so, my entire team had next to 0 deaths in this war. It was just a complete stomp. Nobody in my group died, and we farmed the other team for about the last 8 minutes outside of their base. Next tip, have no fear. You are a reformed gamer now. You're a beef lord. Nobody's going to kill you. Sure, you want to try and position yourself away from the combat. I get that. But don't be afraid to get into the thick of it and get your hands dirty. Sometimes you just have to. Get in there and help your boys in the trenches. For any of you listening, if you are a healer that runs away from the fight, I will come and find you and knock some sense into you. Either way, now you're a lot more tanky, so don't sweat it if you have to be right in the gravity wells or inside the enemy hammer squad. You can take a beating when you have to and do what is necessary for your team to hold or attack the point. My final war strategy tip is one my brother actually taught me very early on in my gaming career. You can't save stupid. People will overextend, and as a healer, you want to do everything you can to make sure they stay alive. But don't follow stupidity and overcommit. You can see in this clip that I have some teammates way overextended, and I decide to back off once I realized how far up we've gotten and when I realized that so many enemies are coming at us. Don't tunnel vision, don't go too far forward, and don't let stupidity get you killed. That applies for so many different things, not just overextension in war, but in PvE, PvP, everything. If someone is stupid enough to do something like overextend, they're already too far gone. You cannot take it upon yourself to save that. Hey everyone, so I figured now might be the time to show you the build that I'm actually using in Endgame out in the world for open world PvP and PvE, as well as very similarly in dungeons. As you can see, I still have the same life staff on, but now I'm using a great axe. I'm focusing on putting on some strength and really killing enemies, and I pump out a lot of damage, I have a lot of healing, and I'm still at 10,000 health. I have very similar pieces, still heavy head, but I'm wearing medium chest, heavy gloves, light pants, and heavy boots. The main focus though is that I have more strength on my gear. I have con focus helmet, strength con chest, strength con gloves, strength focus pants, constitution focus boots, and then my necklace, still not that great. Strength con gives me more health. It's great. I do keep an ice gauntlet on me just for dungeon purposes and strict healing. So when I'm in an expedition, I'll throw on the ice gauntlet. So this is my loadout. I am using Charge on the axe, Gravity Well, and Reap. And then on my healing staff, I am using a similar loadout as to War. I do take Mending Touch instead of Enchanted Justice, but no Orb of Protection. I take Light's Embrace. It's so strong in PvE. I am hoping to put a build guide out for this setup pretty soon. I just really wanted to give all of you the new updated war video because I felt like with thousands of you watching, I wanted to update you with the exact setup I was now using. And I felt kind of guilty. I felt like I lied to you. I didn't feel great about it. So that's going to do it for me. I have really enjoyed making New World content, and I'm really hoping that I'm starting to get to some of you and really help you out with your builds and really help you heal. I want to continue growing the channel. I want to continue putting out builds. My next two will be my open world normal build, as well as my specific dungeon setup in the future. Those are going to be some of my next videos, but I want to hear from all of you what kind of videos you would like to see, what kinds of things you're interested in, what do you need help with. Please feel free to let me know in the comments section. Regardless, I am so thankful that anybody is watching these videos. It makes it even more enjoyable for me. I really appreciate it. I ask, please do that weird YouTube shit. I'm going to always ask that. Like, comment, subscribe so that I can be motivated to create more videos and to make sure I'm helping more of you. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for being you.